Italy has brought some of the best cuisine to the world. But what if all pasta was eliminated? After World War I, Italy was left poor and much of the country starving. Mussolini would march on Rome on October 28, 1922, and on October 31st, King Victor Emmanuel III would name Benito Mussolini as the new Prime Minister of Italy. One of the goals of Mussolini's fascist government was to become self-sufficient. Italy imported massive amounts of wheat, and in wartime, exporters would cut off the supply. Italy imported more than 15 million quintals of grain, 9 million quintals from Russia, 3 from Romania, and others in smaller quantities. With the outbreak of World War I, all imports would end almost instantly. The Mussolini government would begin studies on everything with wheat, understanding Italy's capacity to grow more inside the state, the effects of wheat on the diet, and ultimately this would begin what would be called the Battle of the Wheat. Mussolini would begin adding tariffs to imported wheat, making it significantly more expensive to buy foreign than domestic. This would have success, greatly reducing the imported wheat to Italy, and Italy's domestic wheat seeing greater yields than ever before. Despite the success, Italy still hadn't reached complete self-sufficiency. Mussolini, as part of the Agricultural Act, enacted the Integral Land Reclamation.
Italian dictator Mussolini threshed the first wheat to be harvested on lands reclaimed from the marshes. Italy was hungry, for Il Duce was building up his military machine that was to carry him to temporary triumphs and finally to disaster.
This would be a tremendous effort to reclaim swamplands and lands previously unable to be farmed from 1913 to 1937. The effort reclaimed 5,170,000 hectares. This ultimately increased the production of wheat up to 50% at its peak. However, it was nearly impossible to create a fully self-sustainable farming with the demand of so much wheat. If the Italian population would eat less pasta, it would bring Italy one giant step closer to being self-sufficient. In an effort to get the public off pasta, Mussolini's government would launch a campaign to dissuade Italians from eating pasta. This is where the widely shared quote, "A nation of spaghetti eaters cannot restore Roman civilization." Rice grew in abundance in northern Italy, in the Lombardy, Piedmont, and Veneto regions. If Italians switched from pasta to rice, this would greatly aid the country's self-sufficiency. As part of the effort, Mussolini's government would declare a National Risotto Day, also releasing studies about the nutritional benefits or lack thereof of wheat, stating that wheat should be replaced with other proteins. Filippo Marinetti, famed poet, would write the Futurist Cookbook, in which it would advocate for the abolition of pasta.
Perhaps stockfish, roast beef, and pudding will benefit the English. Meat cooked with cheese will benefit the Dutch. Sauerkraut, smoked lard, and cotechino will benefit the Germans. But Italians don't like pasta. For example, it contrasts with the lively spirit and passionate, generous, intuitive soul of the Neapolitans. These were heroic fighters, inspired artists, rousing speakers, witty lawyers, tenacious farmers, despite the voluminous daily pasta. When eating it, they developed the typical ironic and sentimental skepticism, which often cuts short their enthusiasm. A very intelligent Neapolitan professor, Dr. Signorelli, writes, "Unlike bread and rice, pasta is a food that can be gobbled up, not chewed. This starchy food is largely digested in the mouth by saliva, and the transformation work is carried out by the pancreas and liver. This leads to one imbalance with disorders of these organs, and the result is weakness, pessimism, nostalgic inactivity, and neutralism."
It would include a breakdown of the health benefits and negatives of wheat, noting that pasta is 40% nutritionally inferior to meat and fish. And this would somewhat work. Italians began eating more rice, but the communists and or anti-fascists would use this as an opportunity to strike at Mussolini, creating an underground market for wheat and using it as a propaganda piece to promote pasta. The anti-fascists would even serve a pasta dish that they would call pasta antifascista. Pasta antifascista was served when news came out that Mussolini had been in custody, and subsequently after his death, in celebration by anti-fascists.